Welcome back to Marvel Snap tier lists. Today, I had to get an expert on the three costs here to rank them. Please welcome number one surfer one trick and the guy who knows how to make it a Maverick big, Heart of the Cards. Heart of the Cards, how are you doing today?
I'm doing very, very good, and I'm ready to rank which cards make a Maverick big today.
All right, so first up, we're going to go with Agent Coulson. Now, Agent Coulson has not seen really any play since Arisham's nerf. So I think we got to start off slow, put this guy in the F tier.
But he could generate like a Shuri, and that does make a Maverick a little bit big. No, I'd put him in the F tier, yeah.
Yeah, he's just unfortunately useless. Card gen is a terrible archetype if you're not talking about Victoria Hand Moon Girl new Gambit stuff, which I'm sure we'll get into later, as a lot of those cards are 3 cost.
Well, yeah,
Airwalker is next. And I think
specifically like expensive card gen is really bad as well.
Yeah.
That doesn't get cost reduction.
Airwalker, I think, is barely saved. He's got some Phantom X decks where you tutor him out, but they changed to Morgan Le Fay, making her a 3 cost. We'll talk about her later. Really bumped this card down from like the BC tier where you're guaranteed tutoring the entire point of your deck to, I guess, Phantom X is the same thing, but Phantom X is less important to a Phantom X deck than Morgan is to a Morgan deck. So I feel like he's kind of relegated to D tier.
I always viewed Airwalker as something Cam would call potential man. Well, he has the potential to be good, but he's never fucking good, and that is Airwalker. Like, he can always theoretically help you out, but like, I don't know, just play like Nico if you want to fucking guarantee your draw.
Yeah, Nico is a much better tutor, but he does something. He doesn't do nothing. Coulson does nothing. Airwalker does something. And speaking of doing nothing, Astral Projection is definitely going in the F tier.
Yeah, another potential man card, but way worse because he's never fulfilled that potential.
All right, Baron Zemo. What do you think on this one?
I think I would put him like a solid. I don't know. It's like B to C. I've had my time in the light with like Baron Zemo, where he's like sometimes he's base, sometimes he's good into the meta game. I think especially with like as cards get bigger, maybe he gets like a bit more clearer. But like he does functionally live in an archetype of like Mill, and Mill's really bad in of itself. So I'd probably lean towards C. I think he's better than like Airwalker and like Agent Coulson's of the world though.
I agree. I think that just this guy has a lot higher of a floor than Airwalker, whereas Airwalker sometimes just might be a 3-4 dead draw. This guy is normally at least getting you like 3-7 worth of stats. Now, is that a good 3-7 worth of stats? It's up to you to decide, because they could also, if you play him early, it can thin their deck so that they can get one of their heavy hitters. But largely, I lean towards this guy bottom of C tier, but I definitely think it's a step up from Airwalker.
I
Now,
definitely don't think his archetype is doing him any favors in
yeah.
that CPR.
Let's talk about Beast. Neither of us are bounce players, but I think we can both acknowledge that Beast is the strongest card in bounce, and I'd probably, other than Xiao Lao, obviously. So I would probably put Beast in the A tier.
Yeah, he doesn't make it a Maverick big, so he can't be an S, but I think a solid A. He defines an archetype that is solid, sometimes really good, more often than not really good, but like solid enough to be like, yeah, this is an A tier card.
Now we got Bishop. Now, Bishop's a card that, okay, he's not D tier. He definitely isn't D tier. He's a little
He
bit
ain't D tier, what are we talking about?
I think he has a little bit too much stats. I put him in the Baron Zemo category, where it's like, this is going to be a 3-7. It might not be a good 3-7, but it does something. And 3 costs.
Okay, I can see the argument for the 3-7. I'm just thinking like we don't even have Mysterio anymore. We're playing Bishop in the non-Mysterio world.
Mysterio change really hurt this guy. I would rather play Bishop than Zemo, though. I think both of those cards are pretty bad, but with 3s, you have a really weird dynamic where the S and the A tier are going to be absolutely stacked, and then the F tier and the D tier are going to be horrendously bad.
Okay,
I think we can put this guy in.
I can get behind that argument as well with future cards. I think he'll get probably a bit better than Zemo, definitely way better than Airwalker, so I can get with C.
All right, Black Widow.
That card is below F. That card is terrible.
She is pretty bad.
Like he just loses so much tempo. Like it's basically unplayable because even if your opponent loses the draw, it doesn't matter. They're about a Starlord who shall allow you. It's
Yeah.
over for you already.
What's it called? Even if they shall allow, you're giving them an extra proc on the shall allow with a free thing to play. Like it's just you're removing the last piece of their draw, which is they didn't draw one from Maverick. Now they got a zero. That's even better. Uh,
Yeah, it's,
I don't think there's much thought here. Brood is definitely an S tier 2 drop. He is one of two triplers in the game and the easiest one to do it on. Just a phenomenal card. He's
yeah,
been amazing since the release of Silver Surfer, and he'll continue to be amazing as long as Buff remains a deck that is playable, which I know you will probably end up talking about some data mines later, but Buff is definitely going to be playable.
I mean, Brood's not always playable, but when he is, he's definitely the best card in his list by a mile and maybe by 4 miles.
Yeah, this card is really good. There's a reason why every single buff deck pretty much runs this card. Not counting Shao Lao decks because the curve is a bit off. Bullseye. I think he has to go in B.
There's an argument for A. I think he goes in B ultimately. He's just kind of aged a bit worse than people would probably expect. A lot more tech cards like are favorable into Bullseye now than before, so I think he has a bit worse positioning. And he is very combo centric, but his combos aren't even that crazy in this modern world.
Yeah, the main thing with this guy is Dokken. And Dokken Bullseye is, I think, too strong of a just game plan in general to put below B tier. So I think that's probably where Dokken's going to go as well. But I think that with the future release of one specific card, this guy and Bullseye, Dokken and Bullseye might go all the way up to S tier. Because one card with these two seems absolutely broken. We'll talk about it when we get to Dokken. But definitely, I think it's B tier. I think Bullseye Dokken is just weaker than Bounce. It's a deck you can play. B with this 3-cost tier list is kind of like you can play it. It's just kind of worse than other things.
Yeah.
I
It
can't
doesn't
say
define an archetype, or if it doesn't define an archetype that's strong enough.
I can't say anything good things about Kyra. This card sucks.
Yeah, it probably should be like a 3-5, 3-6. There's a couple of cards here where like the stat line like depends on everything. It's like this card has to be like on rate or better because you don't want to play her already. So like playing her below rate feels really bad, especially for a deck that's not that good. If Lu was one of the best decks in the game, maybe Kyra goes to like a C tier niche pick, but it's one of the worst decks in the game, so not doing it any favors.
Captain America. Now this guy is good and ongoing. No other homes. What do you think?
My take is he's a B tier. Just
I
because of that one
100%
Sam
agree.
Wilson interaction.
He is a extremely solid card. He works really good in ongoing, and he is useless everywhere else.
He's
So,
a Sam Wilson merchant.
yup.
And let's make it clear, if Sam Wilson did not exist, I'd probably put him in C or D. But Sam Wilson does exist, and just that 1-2 punch, like the original point to Sam Wilson, is still a very solid thing to do, even now.
All right, now let's get to the other captain, Captain Carter, who I think is definitely going up in the S tier.
She make it a Maverick big.
Yeah,
There's not
she
really
does
much
make
to
it the
explain here.
Maverick big. This is the other tripler in the game. It takes more effort than Brood. I don't think it's better than Brood. Although it might be. It's really close. With Maverick in the game now, it might offset the balance, but this card is extremely strong.
All I have to say about Captain Carter is whenever I read a card that says this card's power, I don't even think about that card anymore. I'm like, okay, so we're doing Captain Carter. Let's figure this deck out now. It all goes back to her, and like, that's not even talking about like the ridiculous interactions with like ongoing with like Moonstone and all that. There's a bunch of ridiculous interactions with Prodigy, but like just like make it a Maverick big, make it a stick big. Like there's so many cards that like Captain Carter has positive interaction to. She's really an interaction merchant, and she basically interacts with every buff card possible
Yeah,
and more.
I mean, he said it all. Just one of the best buff cards in the entire game. Now let's talk about Cassandra Nova. Now, I used to run a lot of Cassandra Nova, but I think unfortunately she's relegated to the C tier. It's the same thing as like Bishop and Baron Zemo. Like this is going to be like in that 3.6 to 3.8 range, but it's just not the best thing to do. Like Bullseye scales the doubler, Cap scales exponentially with stuff like Carter and Moonstone. Cass doesn't have that extra level to prop her up into the B tier. She's just kind of there. Like, you're not losing a game because you put Cass in your deck, but you're also not winning a game unless you're playing against Arishem if you put Cass in your deck.
I'm gonna be honest. He barely makes the C tier. Like when you said bottom of C tier for Baronzino, that's like Cassandra Nova. There's a future card like Moss Cassandra Nova, and that card's not even that great. And it's like she just like aged as one of the worst cards. Like she was originally a point higher, and then now she's like 2 points lower almost with how many skills are in the game. She just like aged really, really poorly as a card.
Yeah, this card has two things like going for it. When it's good, it's either because Arishem slash Thanos is extremely prevalent most of the time. Arishem because Thanos doesn't really. It's only like a 3.9 against Thanos. And the other thing is that it used to be running negative, and negative has since cut it because there's way better things to do. And the other thing is that Arishem is kind of gone. If Arishem were to ever like come back in the meta in a large force, you'll definitely start seeing this card a lot again. However, it's just Arishem is really far down now, and you can't really justify it. I also think that they could probably give her 1 point of power back. This used to be one of my favorite cards in the game. I would throw in every deck because Arishem was quite popular for over a year. Now it's just like, this card just kind of... It's not losing me games, but it's not winning me games.
She's a very fancy tech card now.
Cerebro.
It don't make it a Maverick Big. Well, it could make it a Maverick Big, but like, it's just one of the biggest stat cards in the game. Like,
Yeah.
points per like cost. It's like way up there.
I hate it. It's really good. Not much else to say.
There's a number for every card, and that card has the numbers.
Yep.
Just flat out.
Chameleon, who I think he works in C3. He works in Splat Surfer, which I think is one of the most underrated decks in the game right now. I think he has enough niches to justify being in this C tier.
I put him in the B tier. I think
Really?
basically all the copiers are really good cards. He might be the worst of the copiers, but like, I don't foresee any copiers going like below B tier. And I think he has enough decks and enough homes, even if they're like off meta homes. There's a ton of like rogue chameleon decks, and he generally does powerful things in a bunch of them.
You've convinced me. He's a copier, so he goes into the B tier. I do think he would have been at the top of the C tier if we kept him there. We'll see where the list rounds out. Speaking of C tier, I think Colonel America may be one of the most C tier cards on this list.
I'll trust you on that. This guy is a niche discard card, and I don't even own most of the discard cards, so I'm not exactly the best person to be talking on Colonel America specifically.
I've played Colonel America. He's just solid. It's in this C tier where he is higher stats than all the cards in the C tier, but he also requires a lot more investment than those cards. So he may be like, say on average a 310 or a 313, but that takes a ton of effort, and you're also limiting other points of your game plan. Like if you're running this guy, you kind of have to run Swarm and just kind of all that. He's solid. Like you can definitely play him. He's not gonna win you games. He's like worse Morbius. Copycat now.
Copycat's a tough card. She floats between like A to B tier to me. I think in the right meta, she can absolutely be an A tier card, but as we move to more and more synergy metas, she's probably closer to a B tier card just because there's a bunch of stuff you don't want to copy in super synergistic decks.
I agree. I think that Copycat does ebb and flow between A and B tier. I think right now we're kind of in a B tier Copycat meta, but when this card is like really good, like for example in January, this card was everywhere because it was all like Xiao Lao mirrors. And what does Xiao Lao do? It runs Xiao Lao. It runs Maverick. It ran Scarlet Spider. Those are all really good Copycat hits. When this card is in a meta for it, it is bordering on S tier. When it's a bad meta for Copycat, she is like C tier. I think B tier, albeit a higher B tier, is kind of where I'd land on this card because I do agree with you. as we get into these more synergy focused metas, Copycat does become worse and worse.
Yeah, you kind of just have to take your shot with Copycat and call it out when it is there. When it is there, it might be one of the best cards in the game. When it's not there, it'll feel like a 3-5 infinite, unironically.
Yep. Corvus. I think
Uh,
it's B now. It's not even the best version of Hela anymore.
I think it's B. I don't know. Corvus is like a good card, like interesting interactions. There's just like something about building around Corvus that like it requires a lot of you, and the reward might not be there as much as other cards right now.
Mm-hmm. Just the normal Danish Hela Corvus deck is still just a good deck. But there is a better Hela deck out there. There's a new fancy super giant magic Star-Lord Hela deck. That deck, it sounds clunky on paper. I have seen stats and they're ridiculous in practice. This card is good. This card is not A tier.
There's even better ramp decks now.
Mm-hmm. And now let's talk about Cosmo, who I think we can all agree is going straight up to S tier.
He's the goat.
He's the best tech card in the game.
Yeah.
You could argue Cosmic Ghost Rider is better, but I think that whatever your answer is on a tech card for the best in the game, it's either CGR or it's Cosmo. And being one of the two best tech cards in the game and the best defensive tech card in the game, no other choice but to put him in S tier.
There's something weird about Snap where no matter how many keywords they keep adding, which don't get me wrong, they add more and more and more. For some reason, like on reveals are always extremely prevalent. Not only extremely prevalent, extremely important. If not by volume, by like, oh, this card is going to beat the hell out of me. There's always like 1 to 2 in basically every metagame.
Definitely. Now let's talk about Crystal, who is going to go in the D tier because she can be used in combo decks to draw, but she is almost certainly not the best thing to do in those decks. And even like you can run her in Star-Lord Hela. It is a worse upgrade deck. You can run her in Tribunal. It's not an upgrade, it's a downgrade. It is a card you can run. It is a card that is not Black Widow Kyera tier, but it is also not as good as Colonel America, Baron Zemo, Cass, and Bishop.
I'm not gonna lie, Crystal is like the voted card of all time. Every time I see Crystal, I'm like, this person either better be doing something ridiculous with Crystal, or like, why the hell am I more likely to draw Shyla Mysterio now? Like, why did you give me that ability? So I don't know. To me, she's like pushing on Coulson.
She's
Maybe
pushing
like
on
D,
Coulson,
but like she's
but
pushing on Coulson, and
I'd
she's
rather
pushing a
play
bit close.
Crystal over Coulson. At least it does help me.
Yeah, I'm not gonna split hairs over the D and F, but
Yeah,
like
they're
I will say Crystal is pushing F.
Cyclops. So for the vanilla cards, we talk about the high Evo variants of them. I think high Evo Cyclops, it afflicts, which is better than gaining power, and make a Demaverick small. However, I'd lean towards C tier on this guy.
Basically every high Evo card I lean towards C tier. Power crept, not power crept stat lines, and then power crept abilities just generally doesn't make for a good mix.
Yeah. Dakin, who I think goes in the B tier, as discussed earlier. The card that I was alluding to is coming out in April, at least scheduled in Datamine's Mother Ascani, who's a 4/4 that gives the leftmost card in your hand -1 cost, +2 power, and copies it. That sounds absolutely broken with this guy. Yeah, I got nothing else to say.
Yeah, seems generally solid. You could do Dawkin, you could probably put a Grandmaster in there, Grandmaster the Mother Exani. Now you have like a 1 cost Dawkin, and you know Dawkin scale with like more Dawkin. So there's something interesting there. Do I think it's gonna dominate the metagame? I'm not gonna lie. Hell no. There's something of a Dawkin. There's too much interactivity right now with Dawkin. I don't think it'll dominate the metagame. There'll probably even be decks that go over it most of the time, but it will have like a solid, reasonable reason to play it.
Yeah, I think after that, those cards are going to go up into the A tier, or if we're underestimating it, S tier. Although I do think that both of them are just, you can play them, they're just not the best thing to do right now. Now let's talk about Deathlock, who, this guy I think is in D tier.
Yeah, Deathlock is honestly like one of the most voted cards of all time. Basically, there's like four cards in this entire game that say like destroy a reasonable amount of stuff. He happens to be one, but it's like a very reluctant happens to be one. It's like if they ever print a card like that, this guy's going down to F tier because there's no reason to play him. He very barely gets a reason to play him right now.
Yeah, I mean, like this guy is kind of like a benefit of circumstance in a sense. Like he destroys stuff, and there's not much stuff in the game that just destroys stuff. While there's a lot of payoffs for destroying stuff. So I mean, like by virtue, this guy has to go in the D tier. But I think he's kind of the epitome of D tier. Like you don't want to do this, but you can do this. Like it's going to be unoptimal, and it may be including this over something like a fastball may be the reason why you lose the game. Although it is not like losing you like a ton of games. Like it's not outwardly just killing you.
Yeah.
Debris. This says 3-7, but it is a 3-8 now. And I think this card is B tier.
Yeah, I think a little bit people are overreacting to it. They're like, "Oh my god, 3-8 debris," but like, let's be real. In Modern Snap, we had like a 3-11 release, and people were like, "Yo, this Drax guy kind of mid." Oh, it's like 3-8 debris. I don't think they'll break anything, but she seems like a solid card with a reasonable ask, especially because we're getting rock support. I think her position will very much depend on how good Ozymandias is, but I could see a reasonable reason to be running debris in the near future, so probably like B tier. I would think you're a bit too giddy if you're putting in A tier.
Yeah, I agree. I think Ensaba Nurse Synergy is also something that's important with this card, as it's one of the best enablers for that in the game, which is basically you can make it like a 4-9 lockjaw, which is just great stats. This card is good. This card is not quite A tier though. And A tier is being pretty scarce, but I see some cards coming up that I'll be definitely putting there. Let's talk about Diamondback, who I think kind of falls into this illustration of C tier that we're making here.
Yeah, victim of saying affliction. There's a bunch of affliction cards that maybe might not be the worst, but affliction itself is like the worst. So they all kind of suffer and get dragged down. D tier is really like the niche picks, or like even going a step below like what would be like a rogue pick. It's like I think affliction fits that way. It's like a deck that's named, but it's not like anywhere near good.
Mm. Let's talk about Dragon of the Moon.
I talked about a
See?
card that mocked Cassandra Nova, and I was talking about Dragon of the Moon. I think there's infinitely more reasons to play Dragon of the Moon. I'd actually put him in B tier. I think like he's a solid pick. I'd maybe bottom of B tier, top of C tier, but like he's a genuinely like decent card after the buff. He was not good on release.
So my thing with Dragon of the Moon in C tier is I definitely think Dragon of the Moon is upper C tier, but I mean, like he did get cut from Super Giant Ronin. Like he's just not in that deck anymore. He got cut for Copycat. He got cut for Mercury. He got cut for running another 2-drop or another 1-drop. This card it's solid, but I think the B tier, the difference between the C tier and the B tier is the C tier isn't losing your games, it's just fine cards. The B tiers are winning you games with either explicit synergy, like based stuff like Debris and Ozymandias / Ansaba Noor, or just they're above and beyond synergy pieces, kind of like Captain America and Chameleon that can just absolutely swing games when they're played. I think Dragon of the Moon, although one of the more powerful C tier cards, I think he fits this like archetype of C tier that we're creating more than the one of B tier. And I also think that this card, although it is better than Cassandra Nova, it does have less of that kind of like tech use case, and it can't win games on the spot. The reason why Cass is in C tier is that she can just win games on the spot still. Like there is a non-zero amount of error time, especially with the new Gambit Horseman of Death. That's kind of where I've landed on it. And it's also Cassandra is better in that like Phoenix Force stuff because it gains more green power.
Yeah, I think it's a card that could definitely push into B tier in some tier list. I don't think like necessarily I'm like vying one way or the other. I've never played the guy. I don't want to play the guy. But I think like he's done a solid amount of things and he's a solid amount of stats. But in Modern Snap, a solid amount of stats just might be C tier.
Speaking of a solid amount of stats, although this might be over a solid amount of stats, Drax. Now, are we saying Drax is... I'll leave it up to you. Do you think Drax is an A tier card? Because this card is like kind of now reliably a 310. or do you think it's a B tier card?
The question is, how good is the best generic card in the game in Modern Snap? It's definitely not an S tier anymore. Like when Copycat came out, she was an S tier. How far have
Mhm.
we fallen from that? And I think we've not fallen like extremely far, but like we've fallen a good amount far. So I'd say like bottom of A tier.
I agree. I think this guy just has a little bit too much stats to put him in the B tier, and I think he is less dependent on a meta than Copycat. Because I mean, like as you said, Copycat can sometimes be like a 3-5 infinite. This guy is just always a 3-7. He's always going to be a 3-7, unless you're playing like Cerebro 3. But even then, he still might be a
No, if it's
3-7 if
against
they play
Cerebral
card
3, he
after
looks at the
Cerebro.
end of the turn, right? Unless they're playing Cerebral Mystique on the last turn. He still ends up being 7 power.
Yeah, this guy is the most solid stats in the game. He is low A, but he is definitely gonna end in our
Yeah.
A tier, I think. Let's talk about Electro, who I
Electro,
think is
pushing A
B
tier.
tier on virtue of being.
I think he's pushing A tier. He's created
No,
He's
I'll put him in
created
A.
a solid niche for himself. Like, don't get me wrong, like 3 months ago, this guy might have been pushing F, but like he's
Mhm.
gotten like 2 buffs, like he got a solid amount of stats, and then he's gotten like interesting synergies with More Machine, Blink. And there's like been a whole new like subsection of the archetypes that is just like ramped now. There's like a million different versions of it. I've seen Galactus ramp, Kryglin ramp. Like there's a bunch of the range versions, there's the main version. I think but all of them run Electro. Like he has been in like that ramp slot, the most consistent piece out of all the ramp cards that aren't doing a little bit of ramp but doing a lot of bit of ramp.
Yeah, there's 5 rampers at 3 cost, and this guy is kind of tied with one other one for third, in my opinion. There are two that are definitely better, and there's one that is definitely worse. This guy is kind of just like, I am an enabler of a strong deck.
I don't think there's two
I think
definitely
this guy can
better.
go in A.
Who are the two? I think Luna's
What?
tied with him depending on the meta.
I think Luna is a good bit better, but we
Okay.
will get to Luna when we get to her. Let's talk about Elsa Bloodstone, who I know is your girl, so you can talk about her.
My goat. Well, Elsa's a very solid card. I want to glaze it extremely much, but I'm not going to glaze it too hard here. So very basically, so you make a the Maverick big if you really think about it, okay?
Yep.
But what you can do
She
with
does do
Elsa
that.
is you can play some of the best 2 costs in the game. There'll be future Jeff, but not even talking about future cards. There's current Nightcrawler at 1 cost. There is a bunch of other move cards like Sam Wilson can fill a lane, unfill a lane, fill a lane, unfill a lane. I think he has a solid amount of interactions with some of the better 3 drops as well. Something like a Prodigy gives you a ton more value, and that's an easy early play that you can play even on top of something like a Shell Out Maverick, which, as we know, is a ridiculous combo. And personally, she's my most played card in the last 2 months. Like, I played straight Elsa decks for 2 months, and I think she, more often than not, contributes about 311 worth of power, not including synergies. I do a lot of lines where it's something like turn 4 I'm agonying. I'm moving something out of the agony lane, so the agony gets the buff, the Maverick gets the buff, but the Maverick also gets the buff that the agony just got. So 1-5 onto that, and then you shout out all that. You can tell how that could be a bit ridiculous, and that is why I think Elsa is a bit underrated. But I don't know. I can't really argue her above like a copycat, so I think she's like solidly in the B line.
Yeah, I agree with you. She's definitely B tier. A lot of the reasons you said. If listeners may ask, well, if Elsa's a 311 and Drax is a 310, why is Drax an A tier? It's because Drax asks nothing of you other than to spend 3 energy then to be a 310. Elsa asks a lot to be a 311. It's kind of falling very similar to the Captain America niche, where yes, this card can be very good stats, but you need to work with it to get there. And that's kind of the same realm as Elsa. I think those two are actually very similar cards.
And she
Uh,
does make your brain go tick tick every time the buff goes off, which is mainly the reason I play her.
yeah. Esme, she's no longer even in negative. I think we got to put her in the D tier.
Yeah, she's clearly better than Collison, but like being the I don't know E plan of negative is not a strong spot into the metagame anymore. She has been thoroughly like shut out. I don't think she was very good in negative to begin with, but like
Mm-hmm.
not even having that place anymore just means she's not very good. Period.
Yeah, she's just a quite bad card. Uh, Fenris Wolf. How the mighty have fallen. You made your name off of a Fenris Wolf deck. What do you think about him now?
Oh, that guy's disgusting at 3 cost. Like, he's a 3 cost that asks you to do a lot. And then you look at, like, the general 3 cost and you're like, they asked me to do nothing. And they're still bigger than Fenris after doing everything. And then, like, even his synergy pieces has gotten worse. Like, Negasonic got a cost up. Tang-Chi, that guy, something happened to him in the last 3 months.
Yeah.
So yeah, like even his synergy pieces like have gotten worse. So I just don't think Fenris is very good anymore, and I'd probably put him in like D tier.
I agree with the D tier. I think this is just a. This card needed to cost 2, but it was way too strong at 2. So I think that maybe if you toss a point of power this guy's way, he does better. But then you're kind of like, why am I like trying to nudge people in the direction of Merc Ball, of Shang, of Negasonic? Like, why am I trying to push people in that direction as opposed to one where they can make it a Maverick big?
Yeah,
Uh,
I don't think
yeah.
Fenris is even like even with like 3-5. I think he's a 2 cost ability that happens to be a 3 cost. Which spoiler alert, we'll probably be talking another card like that very soon. I'm assuming not very soon, but at some point.
Frigga, I think is an A tier card.
Uh, A tier, S tier. I think she's closer to A tier now. Frigga was used to do some really ridiculous stuff. It's been tamed down a bit. But like as we said, copiers like Chameleon got B tier just off of being
Mhm.
a copier. And now we're talking about like a pretty good copier, so like I think minimum A tier,
Mhm.
but he's not in a great place in this meta, so just A tier.
Yeah, I also think that on almost any other like tier list, Frigga would be put into the S tier. But the problem is for 3 costs, the bar for S is just so incredibly high because there is so many incredible game warping threes that she isn't the best copier at her cost. So she kind of can't be S tier because the other copier is just so much better. Uh, Now let's get to OG Gambit, who I think is a very solid A tier. He's got a good risk reward going on. If you play him early, you can mess up your game plan but destroy your opponents. Late, there's no risk to using him, but he's a little inaccurate. There's a lot of conflicting dynamics with this card. He's amazing in some metas. He's game winning in certain matchups. He is a very strong card.
I hate
That being said,
I
though,
hate that guy.
he is not on the level of S
I
tier. He
hate
is
that guy, but he has found like he is ultimately a weird tech card with a really positive synergy into a deck that usually doesn't have a lot of positive synergies in tech cards. We're talking about like Hela's, traditional discards, Phantom X, like all these don't have the greatest interactive pieces that naturally go into their deck. And he kind of just gets free rolled there. And as a free roll tech card, he is one of the better free roll tech cards. So I do agree. Like A tier, probably not top of A tier because there's some really good cards into A tier, but like solidly in A tier.
Now let's talk about this guy who I hate. He is, to be clear, this guy is not at the very top of S tier. He is very strong. He is not like the best card in the game, but there's not a doubt in my mind that this guy belongs up here. He destroys a lot of decks, and if you can copy this guy even once, you're wiping like half of your opponent's board. It feels like.
I just don't see how he can be an S tier. This is a legit meta warping card that people like. Trust me, it's not that good. As long as we build these very specific decks and fit within this very specific box, we can beat him. If we're talking about that, like I don't see how a card can be an S tier. If the argument is he's not that good if we shift the entire meta around him, then he's probably pretty good if the entire meta shifting around him.
Yeah, this card is S tier. I know some people are like, oh, this card isn't as good as we think. No, it is very good. You might have been like 10% too, we might have been like 5 or 10% too high on this card, but no, this card is definitely S tier. It's incredibly strong, and if you can copy it once, you're board wiping pretty much. Let's talk about Ghost, who is now a 3/5, and I think might get saved with Iska as a card
I'm putting
now.
in an F tier, bro. Her lunch money is eaten by another card that is not in the 3 cost. But like her job is just already taken. There's
Yeah,
something that does her job, but like 7 times over. Like imagine we had like a mini Mobius card, and it's like your opponent's cost can be reduced if they cost 6, and then we just had Mobius at like a cost above it that just says no cost can be like reduced. That is what Ghost is right now. He's like a mini super
yeah.
giant, but like he doesn't quite push like the super giant, which just says no, you can't do any of this.
For what it's worth, I think it's the best card in F tier.
Yeah, but like I don't know, like being the best card in F tier is like not a good tier.
I look. I think it's closer to D tier than we think. It's just the problem with this card is that it is not 2 cost and it is not ongoing. If it was one of those two, it would be C tier, definitely. I think because Ender Trends can be very strong. No, if it was 2 cost, I think it's D tier. Ongoing, I think it's C tier. But in general, I just think this card is F tier because it has nothing
Yeah.
going for it.
I
And
don't I don't rank cards in a vacuum. Super Giant does exist, and it's like if a card's role is completed by another card and there's literally zero reasons to run it, I don't see how you don't put it in F tier when it was already going to be in D tier if Super Giant doesn't exist. Like it's just not a very good card in general. And then the fact that it doesn't even have any niche because something does its job but better is very tough.
yeah, let's talk about Gladiator, who has definitely fallen off. I think this card is D tier.
This is the worst card in terms of like where he started from and where he's came. This
This
card
card
is
used to be one of the best in the entire
this
game.
card has if any card has died to the shift where cards are just getting slightly bigger now, it's Gladiator. This card is horrendous and he will sell so many games for you. I don't see like how you can really justify playing him. Maybe if US Agent was like -4, you could play it on US Agent lane. Maybe justify, but it's just very tough. There's a lot of huge cards.
Yeah. Green Goblin Titania is good enough that I think it puts Green Goblin in the C tier, but Clog is kind of dead. But Green Goblin Titania is still something you can do.
I'm not gonna argue that. I think there's also little niches. Maybe not the best things to do, but like Galactus and like those type of decks of the world, they're like not the worst.
Groot is F tier. I don't think I have to explain that one. The Guardians suck.
Except for the victory guy, he's pretty good. We'll talk about him
We'll
later.
get to major victories soon enough. Hazmat, I think 3 cost.
I really want to put her in F tier, but I don't think we can put her in F tier. I think she has to
I
go in D
think
tier
he's
because
C.
I think she's the sole reason why Affliction is bad. It's like all onto her. Like I think all the other cards are like better than Hazmat, and because she's so bad and she's like the main linchpin of all this, like Affliction actually going off well, like her
Mhm.
her place in the meta determines where Affliction is. I think Affliction's like way down right now.
The nerf to 3 cost just took this card from A tier all the way down. Now, I do think the N sub and Afflict deck, like it is running around. I think that Hazmat is just as a linchpin card to that archetype. I think it kind of has to be in C. It's bad, but
We're
like
talking about entrepreneur Affliction, not the safety for Hazmat.
it was. You know what? I've seen it a few times and it seemed okay. I think this card. I'm looking at those D tier cards and I'm like, if I want to build a deck, I don't want to put any of those in it. If I want to build an affliction deck, I need to put Hazmat in it. I think that's kind of just the reason why she's C.
I see.
It's not a good thing to do, but I'm not losing affliction games.
I see
because
where
I
you're
put
coming
Hazmat in
from.
my
If I had to sign papers that would put my name on it, I wouldn't. But it is your tier list, so I'm not gonna argue it too hard.
I think C tier and D tier are pretty much the same for this. We can flip a coin. I got a coin.
We
Right
can
here.
flip a coin.
We're gonna flip a coin. First ever coin flip tier list. Heads is C tier. Tails is D tier. It's tails. Okay, we're putting her in the D tier.
These hella
Let's
players
go
don't
on.
win.
Let's go on to Hercules, who I think is F tier.
Oof, yeah, he's real bad.
He's bad. Hitmonkey.
Yeah, B.
See?
I'd put him in B. He has like a little home in like
Yeah, but he's
bounce.
not even bounce anymore.
He isn't. Oh,
Yeah, he's like he's in Splat Surfer.
I don't
and
know.
you can run him in
I
bounce,
think there's an
but it is
argument for
not enough.
B or like top of C. I think I feel comfortable with him in either, to be honest. Takes a lot to get him going, and even when you get him going, he's not like build around material.
Hope Summers. Now this is a card that we both have definitely played our fair share of in Surfer. I don't think he's that good anymore though. I think he's in C tier.
I don't know. Like it's tough. Like Shao Lao plus the 3 cost is enticing to me, but I don't know if it's enticing enough to be like in the same tier as. Actually, no. I'd put in B tier. I'd argue it. I'd argue like he's as good as Corvus. Corvus is a bit of a Hela merchant. I think Hope can be like a bit of
Yeah,
a
but I
Kitty
think
Pride
Corvus's
merchant.
best deck is better than Hope's best deck is the thing.
What?
Or I guess is Hope in the ongoing Surfer
Hope's
deck?
in the best deck in the game right now, arguably the Shao Lao ongoing deck.
Okay, yeah, then I didn't. Yeah, she can get moved up to B2 then. I haven't played that one, so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she allows you to go a bit higher range in a deck that really doesn't care about like, oh, what if I don't do the Shao Lao stuff? It's like, okay, I'm losing that game anyways. Let me just increase my top end. And she is a very unique card, and like not a lot of cards give you 2 energy on the next turn, and she just does that.
hmm let's talk about how the mighty have fallen here with Human Torch. I could not be happier this guy's put in the grave. I know you used to play Move Bounce a little bit. Uh, this card, if we're being honest with ourselves, it's probably C.
Fun fact: if you look at my Untapped and you look by games, technically my most ever played deck is Move Bounce as like a one solid list. There was like 4 different versions of that Fenris list that I played that I think are second, third, fourth, and fifth. But we don't count those in terms of games. Technically, Move Bounce is my most played archetype, and I'd probably put him in C as well. He just doesn't have the explosiveness anymore, and the meta game's getting a bit taller, and he's a bit of an all-in card in a meta game where his all-in is not all-in enough.
Yeah, the second version of him doesn't actually exist until he becomes a 3/3. So now let's talk about Hydra Stomper.
Actually, the second version of him may be a bit better with Venus. Like his ticks do get an
Maybe.
extra power, but the problem
Yeah,
is his
you know,
like his failsafe hits a lot. He's like an objective card. If objectives were just bad, like flat out, like his objective doesn't hit a lot.
yeah, I think Venus might actually save this guy, no, though, now that you mention it. Like, that seems like end of turn +2. That seems pretty solid. The problem is Venus costs 3, and so does this guy, so you kind of want to play Venus on turn 3. But I do think that just there's Human Torch first steps. We need a buff on him. He's actually kind of cool. He's just. The problem is he starts at a 3/2. That's the actual problem. Let's get into Hydra Stomper now, who I think lands himself firmly now into the A tier.
I think he's S tier, bro. That guy is a monster. I don't know how he became a monster, but being paired with Sam Wilson, Batroc, maybe his deck is doing the heavy lifting and he's just along for the ride. But his deck has like so much good support. I almost want to say he's just an S tier card because if you're doing what he tells you to do, you're just doing some of the best stuff in the game.
I can see it. I think he's either bottom of S or top of A.
Yeah, I don't mind A, but I'm like there's
I
an
just think
argument
that,
in me.
yeah,
It's like he might just be a merchant of like what's the best one drop in the game? Oh, it might be Baltrog.
that drop is too.
Like even if it
Sam.
wasn't the best, right? Like oh, top 2, top 3, Tom Wilson definitely the best 2 drop, and then it's like oh wait, this guy matches both of them. Kind of awesome.
I think the main problem with Hydra Stomper and why I limit him off of S tier is that he's not even a part of the best play line of his deck. It's just Maverick Shao Lao. And if he's overqualified to be a backup plan. But I think that just kind of Shao Lao just kind of makes this guy like, okay, yeah, you're good, but there's just better stuff to do. And also I do think he's a bit of a merchant of having the best 1 and 2 cost in the game going into his archetype. I think that Hydra Stomper without Hydra Stomper is a playable deck.
No.
I don't think it's playable without Batroc or Sam.
I will agree with you. I think Hydra Stomper like barely makes it out of S tier, but I think my hot take is he's a bit of a merchant of like the other guys. He's
Mm.
like a part of the Sinister Six, but he's like the sixth guy, new recruit. One of our members died, and we bring this guy along for the ride.
IWFS is A tier. Um, Dies to Gambit kind of is really good into everything else.
Yes, he has some of the dumber interactions in the game. I don't think he's as dumb as another three-cost card that will be on probably on the list as soon.
Yeah.
But I think she has some of the best interactions in the game, and she's a really good force multiplier with herself. The more you get of her, the better she gets, and that's usually a very good concept. You can see Gambit's already really high, card is really high. When there's multiple cards, some really dumb stuff can happen. I think she's in that vein, but not quite as consistent as the top end.
All right, let's get into Ironheart, who I think is definitely a D tier card.
Yeah, her change made her a D tier card from an F tier card, but like
Yep.
there's just not a lot of reason to play Ironheart. Maybe you can find a rogue deck. I do think there's like an argument of like, what if I made a double or 2 cost and double or 3 cost, played Ironheart, gave +3 to both of them. Maybe there's an argument for something like that, but ultimately I don't think it's consistent enough or like as strong enough to like consistently happen. Maybe if Ironheart said like the 2 cards in the other row so you can target it a bit later in the turn, she might go like a tier up from here, but right now she's just a bit too inconsistent as the turns progress.
Jack Flag.
My goat. I think he's a B tier card. I think he's a bit overrated and underrated. It's weird to say a card's overrated and underrated. I think people either think this is the worst guy ever or the best guy ever, and like no in between. I think he's a solid card that goes into some of like the archetypes that are a bit lacking right now. I think he'll age well, but I don't think you can argue that he is like solidly planted into the metagame either.
Yeah, I mean, this guy is just the epitome of B tier. Like, index he works in, he's good. Index he doesn't work in, he's bad. That's, if you look at all of B tier, I think every single card there really fulfills it. Like, it's just these narrow but good cards for the most part. And the other, like, good general cards, in a sense, like Copycat. I guess you can really just Copycat there. Jean Grey, I think Jean Grey Cosmo is powerful enough that it saves her from the D tier and puts her into the C tier.
Okay, I thought you were about to say some egregious thing there and put like Jean Grey Cosmos, you going up to like B tier or something. I could
No.
see C tier. She had a recent home in a deck. Like we can't like discount that. I'm not a Jean Grey believer. I thought that deck was like, I don't know if that was the best deck to figure out the Star Lord meta. I thought it was a bit of a lazy answer, and definitely not the best answer. But I think being a lazy answer maybe gets you into C tier. So I'm not going to disagree too hard on that one.
All right, now let's talk about the captain of stupid interactions, Jocasta, who I think is going in the S tier.
Yeah. You make it a Maverick big, yeah.
She make it the two Mavericks actually. So yeah, this card is really good. Activates have gotten better and better. She's great to repeat them. She goes in every single deck with activates worth repeating multiple times for the most part. Yeah, just a phenomenal card. Gambit is kind of making her seem worse than she actually is right now, but generally, like in most metas, there will be one Jocasta deck that someone is just running the meta with and is climbing before anybody knows what's going on. This is an incredibly powerful card. It is like actively limiting their ability to print strong activate cards because if they work really good with Jocasta, it's just gonna be completely busted. But yeah, I mean, this card is really, really strong.
Yeah, she has a bit of a
Uh,
weird foundation for S tier, but like she's solidly better than Invisible Woman. And when she's not solidly better than Invisible Woman, Invisible Woman just runs her anyways. So she's like solidly planted as like a staple for the metagame almost always. And like there is a place for like these stupid multiplications to happen. And Jacosta's a part of every version of that. Whether you think about Invisible Woman or just like pure activate, she's just a part of all of it.
my goat is D tier, Kang. He is better than F tier because he can somehow get you random AQ wins. He is not good. Put him in D tier.
He is an awesome card, and I think he's a card that can win you games. Not a lot of games, but he can win you some. And I think that's more than I can say for Gladiator.
Hmm.
So
I think Kang is, yeah.
so he's like solidly like, yeah, D tier. I don't want to play him, but like he can win me a game or two.
I think Kang is kind of the epitome of D tier here, where it's just like you're not. It's. I don't want to do it. I'm not gonna win if he might be the reason I win a game. He might be the reason I lose a game. He's just kind of. There's better things to do almost always here.
Yeah. Fun card, not great card.
Let's talk about Killmonger, who I think is in the A tier. Because some metas, this guy is S tier without question. Some metas, this guy is C tier. And I think his on average strength is A tier. He normally beats 1 or 2 decks. He's unusable against some other decks, and 3/3 sucks. I think this guy kind of averages out to about an A tier.
It's really, really tough for me to put in Killmonger in A tier. I think he's like a really bad card. But there is Destroy. And that is the only thing saving me from like putting him like a tier or 2 down. Is Destroy can run him, free roll a tech card. And this tech card is like pretty good into like usually at least 1 or 2, maybe 3 decks. And just because he can find a home with either the null negative destroy deck or the regular destroy decks, I'm agreeing on A tier. But don't get it twisted. I think this is a bad tech card that happens to have enough synergies into some pretty solid lists that goes into A tier.
I'm a massive Killmonger fan. I've always been a Killmonger merchant. You can always catch me just playing this guy in a random ass deck on ladder, and I hit it, and it's awesome. I love this card. I think he's really strong. I think people often underrate this guy, and as always, the best time to play Killmonger is when nobody else is playing Killmonger, because then people are running 1-drop decks because there's no Killmonger. But you just like a time like right now when Killmonger is kind of very popular with the Star-Lord negative. Actually, I'd put Killmonger like as of his meta standing right now in probably B or C tier. But then in like 2 weeks, for example, say no one's playing Killmonger, and all of a sudden Killmonger goes up to S tier because he can just absolutely still steal games and just destroy people. And obviously, as Hart said, this kind of like he's really good in destroy as well. Like there's a reason why he's like arguably like the best destroyer in the deck.
I don't necessarily agree with the fact that like he's a great tech card, because I think he has like a really high deck building cost of not allowing yourself to play any of those 1-drops, so you do get that little bit of interaction, where I think there's usually a better place for whatever tech card, whether it's a Mercury or Shadow King, where you can free roll it a bit harder in the deck. It just happens that Killmonger, like because he has that cost of a deck building cost, does get like multiplicatively better with like destroy synergies.
Let's talk about Kraglin.
Ooh, I'm a Kraglin. I love that guy.
Yeah, he's a funny card. He's not a good card. He is by far the worst of all the ramp cards.
I will say it, if you're funny enough, I'm putting you in D tier, and Kraglin is funny enough. He might be an F tier card, but I love that guy. I love his Jeff the baby Landslark or whatever that is. He's awesome. So yeah, he's in D tier. Maybe S tier in my heart, but
Lady Sif, I think, is D tier.
She's not great. She is not great. It's very hard
you can run again. You can run her. It's just not going to be the right thing to do. Luke Cage, I think, has to go in A. He's got Shao Mysterio synergy. He's the reason Cerebro can like survive as a deck against a lot of interaction. He's a strong card. I think he's kind of top of A tier.
I'll agree with you, but I will say if Cerebro wasn't a deck, this guy might be B tier, C tier. Affliction ain't a real deck. Like when you put Luke Cage in your deck, you're not actually like teching for anything. You're teching for like imaginary decks. But if your entire deck dies because of like, oh, I died to Luke Cage, then yeah, it's a pretty good card. And there is the Mysterio like synergy, which I think is a pretty strong synergy. This has turned into a synergy card somehow because Affliction not really a real thing to do right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just this is the synergy, but he's a very important synergy for decks. Luna Snow, I think, goes absolutely in the S tier.
I put it in A tier. I don't think Luna Snow's that great.
Look, man, Luna Snow is the one ramp card in the game that goes into other decks. You have a card like Electro. You have a card like Superior Spider-Man. Those decks go in ramp decks. Those cards go in the ramp decks. Luna Snow just kind of goes into anything really. It's you're getting the +1 on the curve, you're in control of it. You can also like pseudo clog opponents by putting an ice cube in their Zola lane, or putting an ice cube in a lane where they have 2 cards. Now they can only play 1 card there on turn 6. She is so versatile. There is no opportunity cost to playing her. Even just playing her on 6, like 3/6 is very solid stats. She enables so much. I think she's an incredibly strong card. I would honestly go as far to say like this may be like the 3rd best card in the S tier. I have been a Luna believer since I got her. I have put her in. I think she was. If I had to think one card as my most played of 2025, it would probably be Luna. If it's not Luna, maybe like Shadow King because he was so good then. I think Luna was by far my most played non-tech card.
Look, man, the first deck I ever got featured onto a video was a Luna Snow deck, but just ain't that good. The problem with Luna Snow is like you said, Ramp exists, like all these big decks exist that want to push the curve. And then every time I play Luna Snow, like in half the matchups, I'm like, God damn it, I got a player. Well, like I'm just giving my opponent a free roll. Their hand was bricked, but like now it's not bricked. I just played Luna Snow. They're ramping on me. Like, but I have to play her because I need a ramp myself. Like, I just think she's like the worst of the options because of like the proliferation of ramp into a meta game. I think when there's no ramp, Luna Slow is amazing. I think when everyone's ramping and everyone wants to ramp, you get like a tier below because you just let your opponent free roll into the ramp.
I think this card was A tier when Starlord was like tier 0.5 in literally like every other game. Now that like that deck is pretty much dead now. The OGL and Starlord deck, this card just goes right back into the S tier. There used to be one really bad matchup, but now even then, like I'm playing against ramp with it. Like I need the ramp more than my opponent 90% of the times when I'm playing out this card. It's a combo card. It has a specific game plan. It is one of the best enablers for combo. It makes everything so smooth. I cannot justify putting this card lower than S tier. It is amazing.
Look, I'll concede to Luna Snow being S tier. I'm just saying, she might not be S tier. Like that's all I'm saying.
The coin landed your way on Hazmat. I'm taking Luna Snow in S tier. Magic. What do you think?
Ooh, he has very nice variants.
He does have very nice variants. There's a lot of them.
Probably like B
I
tier.
think B.
She's skirting by on B. She's lucky Merlin got nerfed like 5 times, but
yeah,
but she's pushing B now.
She's B tier. She's very powerful. There's no longer like a free roll to be able to turn her off. This is kind of where I think she should be balance wise. It is a card that is very powerful if you cannot kind of contest it or have a game plan for it. However, it is not. You can lose big amounts of cubes by getting limbos.
She will hold people hostage into certain games, and then she'll hold your cube rate hostage most of the time.
Yeah. Let's talk about major victory, or maybe not. I know you wanted to talk about him.
He's my goat, bro. Right there with Groot. Like, what don't you love more than 5 different possibilities of Guardian of the Galaxies? Arguably one of the best movie franchise teams of all time. How could this card ever be bad? And he has victory in the name, Smlz.
Yeah, you know, he's the bringer of victory. Although I prefer to call him major failure. Makari, you got this card nerfed.
Yeah, bro, depression. It wasn't even her fault. Like, the guy's still in 8, the best 2 cost in the game. And then, like, Makari has to die for Sam Wilson's sins. Like, it's depressing. But yeah, I don't think Makari's a very good card. I don't think she was very good at 3-4. He just, like, allowed me to, like, abuse Sam Wilson stuff. And, like, abusing Sam Wilson's priority was just, like, the best thing to do ever.
You're thinking C tier because it's good in C3?
Yeah, that is literally the justification that I can agree with. He's good in C3.
Marvel Boy is D tier. This is Lockheed coming out made this guy just completely outclassed.
I don't even like Lockheed, so I'm not gonna argue. Marvel Boy is a good card.
Like, I mean, I'm not huge on Lockheed, but he is so much better than Marvel Boy.
I think they're both bad.
uh, I'll give you a minute or two to talk about this guy.
I don't need a minute or two to talk about this guy. I need like 3 seconds. You make it a
Okay.
Maverick big. You make it a Brood big. You make it a Shao Lao's buff again. You make it a Kitty Pride 45 power. Who knows why? Nidavelir's a location. I make it my whole deck big. There is just a lot of stuff to do with Maverick. And the fact that he is like literally what I would call the most sensitive guy, meaning anything, like literally anything happens and this guy is somehow at 45 power, makes him one of the best cards in the game because you could literally like blow the wind onto Maverick and somehow he's gonna gain like 7 extra power and then snowball the game out of control.
This guy's S tier. He's one of the 5 best cards in the game. He's been one of the 5 best cards in the game since release. If you don't have him, buy him.
However, he shouldn't have been nerfed. It was that goddamn menace of a Scarlet Spider.
Mercury A tier.
Yeah, I don't know how she keeps on getting here, but the more we move on from move, the more move somehow comes back.
Yeah, I honestly, I think she might need to get nerfed again because she's not giving move enough room to breathe in this meta. Let's talk about this absolute travesty. Yeah, fantastic first steps.
We talked about cards that were like 2-cost abilities that probably like shouldn't have. Well, probably should have gotten rid, but like probably shouldn't have like released. Mr. Fantastic, perfect example. Fastos ain't a good card. Fastos at least had like some draw synergies. Now imagine we reprinted Fastos, but it only applied to hand. Like there's no draw synergies there anymore. You can't do Thanos, you can't do Nico draw spells. Can't do anything now to make it bigger reasonably.
Yeah, it's just pretty bad. Let's talk about Mr. Fantastic, who I think is pretty much B tier. He has his own deck where he's like getting like 300 power, but it kind of just falls into the Captain America or Dawkins, whatever way you want to look at it. Either he's a solid ongoing piece or he is a combo piece that is kind of outclassed based on how easy it is to interact with. No matter what, I think this guy just ends up in B tier.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think Mr. Fantastic can like put up a bunch of power, but he's not the greatest thing. It's something weird about this game. Ongoing is like never the best deck. Nobody cares to like hack against ongoing half the time. But then suddenly ongoing's good and then it's like not good like the moment later. He's like in a weird spot, but like if you've ever played against like Splat Mr. Fantastic, you're like, yeah, he doesn't belong in C tier. He puts up a serious amount of points that could be like very overwhelming for the majority of decks. However, he does die to like the slightest breeze of tech for him.
Mobius is C tier. There's a reason why you can run him. He is not good.
There's a reason why people run Mr. Negative, and it's not because Mobius is a very strong card.
I think based on the amount of Mr. Negative, we kind of have to put this guy in C tier, but he's not good.
Well, the amount of Mr. Negative is because Mobius isn't a great card, so it's like it's a hard position to be in. He does like stop the floodgates, but not very well. So like, yeah, C.
C is kind of where you have to add him. Moleman, D tier. Ozymandias might help him, but right now, he's better than the cards in F tier. That is all nice I can say about Moleman.
I'm gonna say it. Moleman is one of the swaggiest cards in the game. He has a sick pair of shades. He lives underground. So why is he wearing glasses? Just for the cool factor. Moleman, definitely a D tier card. I think he could move up, even with that squid. That 8/8 squid, it's like, yo, I just got a 1/8 double rock. Amazing. Oh my god, I can tell what I'm going to hit with Moleman. Amazing. But until that happens, Moleman, he's going to stay underground for a bit.
I think Moon Knight is also D tier. Just kind of a boring card.
Yeah, there's something about those cards that say discard your opponent's card. They don't make them very good.
They don't make them
I don't know why they don't make them very good. I probably do, but they don't make them very good.
Morgan Le Fay has fallen so incredibly far. This card used at 4/7. I think this card was legitimately like pushing A tier. It was a gargantuan nerf to not be able to tutor her anymore.
Morgan Le
This
Fay
card
has
sucks.
some of the best variants in the entire game. I've
Yep, I knew
never
you'd
played
say
a
that.
lick of Morgan Le Fay. So, yeah, she's
She's
in
just.
D tier.
Please make her 4/8. At 4/8, she's good. Hopefully.
What I have to
Morph
say
is F tier.
is please make more Morgan Le Fay variants.
Okay. Yep. Morph is F tier. Not much to say there. I think Mystique is a very solid A tier.
Yeah, both of those I
The
agree with.
OG the OG copier, if you will.
Basically, all the ongoing decks are pretty good, in part because Mystique is that good.
Yeah, she's good. She's very good. She's not S tier, but she's good. I don't think I have much to say about Nakia.
Nakia, I don't
This
know.
guy just sucks.
They're literally printing another Nakia, but like bigger. And like a little bit more, but like bigger.
Now we're going to be talking about our good friend Zenade's favorite card, Nightmare.
I gotta
What do you
put
think
this guy in
Nightmare
S
is?
tier. He is like the most easy to recommend card to anybody in the game. Even the devs love him. Like, how could you not put this guy in S tier?
We're going to put this guy in D for dev recommended.
That's a pretty good. That's a pretty good bit too.
Nocturne F tier.
Yeah. Every time I look at her, I get slightly more depressed. She does nothing wrong, by the way. Anybody tells you she did something wrong, they're lying to you. They're supported by Big Second Dinner. Don't listen to them.
Arguably one of my most hated cards ever. Don't like her. Patriot. I think Patriot is saved into the C tier by low CL. Like Patriot Ultron, it's not good. It's certainly something. Although I can definitely see D tier.
I put him in D tier because he make it a rocks big.
He does make it the rocks big. Maybe when Ozymandias comes out, he'll be C tier. Fastos. He can go right next to his best friend.
Two peas in a pod.
Before we got a lot of good like rampers and cost reduction, this guy I think was D tier, but now he's just F tier. Polaris I think is D tier. Yeah.
It works with Scream. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Scream's a very good card either, so
Yeah.
they can go together probably in D tier. I don't know where you guys put them.
And now we're going to talk about the best copier in the whole game.
Okay.
Prodigy.
Very easily. Sam Wilson, best card in the game. One of like cheap movers. He make it a Maverick again. He make it a Carter again.
Yeah.
He make it a Xiao Lao again if you're creative enough.
Yeah.
All of those are really good cards. I'm just saying. And like
he's one of the
he has one of the most trivial ways to copy. Like a lot of them's like, oh, play it on the same turn. Oh, play it the turn after. Or like, oh, you need to spend it again with Frigga. He's like, oh, it just has to be in front of me. And there's like a billion ways to make the guy like in front of him, whatever the hell you want it to be.
This card is really strong. He's one of the 5 strongest cards in the game. The only cards I can say he's definitively worse than is Xiao Lao and Sam. Other than that, I think you can argue this guy is high as the 3rd best card in Marvel Snap.
And the benefit of Sam is he's his best friend anyway.
Yeah. Prowler A.
B.
He's just extremely good. Yeah. I think he's a bit better generically than I think he's closer as a generic card in these move decks and these like synergy decks. I think he's kind of filling the same role as Drax in a sense.
I think it's very tough.
It's just this very solid guy. His skills almost always cost 0. So on average, this guy is playing for anywhere really between like 3. At the absolute lowest, this guy is really like 3/7 with a free move, which is pretty strong. And at the absolute highest, like 3/9 with a move / 3/10 with a ramp. Like this guy is a decent bit better than all the cards in B tier, I think, just because of just how solid he is for how kind of little investment you need. I definitely think he's lower in the A tier, but I do think he's an A tier.
It's very tough for me because this is the captain of mid. Like he is a solid player on a bad team. I'd call him empty stat. Like He's balling out where he balls out, but he don't ball out anywhere that's meaningful. I think he's like, yeah, he looks solid on paper and all that. The problem is like, whenever you look at a move deck, whenever you look at like all these like really really good decks, you're like, they could run Prowler in here, and then they're like, I'm not running Prowler in here all the time. I think he's a bit slow for the majority of decks, and that's like a downside of him. Probably bottom of A tier, top of B tier. I'm not mad at like bottom of A tier, but
Yeah.
it's tough
The
because
more
he's clearly like better than the B tier, but he's like clearly worse than the A tier.
the reasoning I'm gonna go with is the same reasoning I went with for why Hydra Stomper was A instead of S tier. The reason why Prowler is B instead of A tier is just because it's outclassed by Kate Bishop because Xiao Lao is a card. If Xiao Lao is not a card, this card would be A tier because it is a card and it is no longer a part of the best part of the game plan. I think it is a B tier card.
Yeah, he just suffers from, I don't know what it is, but like he suffers from maybe too many good move cards. So he's like the captain of I'm the 13th move card.
I think this is just like this card and Hydra Stomper would be each a tier up if Xiao Lao wasn't the best version of Stomper. Uh, let's talk about Red Guardian.
My goat.
Red Guardian, I think, is C tier at this point, really? Or B?
Yeah, Cosmic Ghost Rider kind of just eats the lunch money.
Yeah, CTR just kind of screws this guy over.
He's like solid. He has some like niche picks. I think he was reasonably better when Star-Lord was like tier 0.5. Like you could just stop a lot of Star-Lord crazy lines. I think sometimes he has positive interactions like that. Majority of the time he doesn't. So he is like one of the better C tier cards, but like he's not like crazy.
He's just kind of in this outclassed category.
Just
I think
a
it's a
guy.
great way to put it. Bird. Bird can do bird things,
Big
but Bird is
bird?
not good. It's just kind of in the D tier where like, yeah, you can do it. You're not gonna like straight up lose because of Red Wing. You're just gonna lose because your deck just can't do enough points.
I think the problem is with Bird, he's like super high investment from a deck building perspective, not necessarily from like a play pattern perspective, which makes him just like reasonably worse than like playing an Infinite normally, like with the War Machine,
And
Infinite
ramp.
Line, or like playing a Foom normally, however you want to figure that out. He's just like a step below because he's a bit harder from like deck building wise.
3/3 Rocket and Groot, I think, is in the B tier.
Yeah. Much like Prowler, the captain of mid, you can play him. He has his synergies. Nothing spectacular about either, though.
Yeah. We're just in a combo meta now instead of a stats meta. There's a reason why this guy was one of the best cards in the game when he came out. The game context has shifted a lot.
Even in a stats meta, I think Rocket and Groot has been power crept. I think Drax would just mog Rocket and Groot still.
Rogue is
C tier.
Yeah, I think 3/3 is just a little bit too many stats, and it can steal games. I think it's honestly underplayed with the amount of Mr. Negative that we see right now, and and the amount of Captain Carter. The problem is just like there's just better things to do. CGR. Yeah, CGR just kind of screws a lot of these cards up because he's just kind of just a one size fits all answer.
I think Rogue is one of those cards where you can justifiably play it into like as like a matchup piece. Maybe you play it to beat like I don't know, like a Mercury and like Hydra Stomper. Like you can justifiably play it into a couple of these decks, and it will do some like very big things. Whereas a lot of tech cards don't instantly win it. When Rogue has a good interaction with it, he is giving you that benefit back onto your side, which makes it a bit better. She just doesn't have a very wide net to catch.
Let's talk about Sage. Sage is honestly probably just C, yeah?
It's very hard to justify Sage. He doesn't have a lot of decks anymore. With Cerebral running running around, you're super depressed with Sage. Like, there's not a lot of differentiation in that. She just, I don't know, it's like not her time right now. She also, like, she doesn't really have a solid spot into this metagame, right? If the big cards are the big cards and, like, you want to be playing a 5 cost on turns 5 and 6, you don't want to be playing Sage at all because, like, he is supposed to be a 3 cost to play very late, and there's not a lot of homes that want a 3 cost to play very late only.
I think you did a great job there. Uh, your guy, our goat, Sebastian Shaw. Uh, I remember when we were crusading on people trying to not put this guy, trying to tell them no, do not ever put this guy in Silver Surfer. He's a 3-5 now. Uh, does that save him from the D tier?
I'm
Yes or
still
no?
making those phone calls. Don't put him in. He's gonna be like Electro. He getting a +1 buff into perpetuity until he's like a 3-8, and then we'll play him. Probably not the worst guy. I think he's D tier right now. I think he could push like C tier if like I don't know, we're doing like Jeff stuff, like the new Jeff. Like if there's just more ways to get like small little tic tac buffs, he does get better. But there's actually just less ways to get small tic tac buffs right now. Like they just removed one of the ways to get his small ticky tac buff. So like his stocks have been at an all time low right now, even after the buff. But I think if the game gets more like ticky tacky buffs, he does slowly creep up and up.
I agree. SK,
I
who
hit that guy.
honestly in this meta, you just kind of gotta put him in the A tier.
He's like always
He's
solid. I think he's
he's
in the A tier because he's
always
always solid. He's never the greatest thing to do, but sometimes he's pretty really good to do. It's just in a weird spot because if he is really good, it also means he can't play the really good deck. So it's like there's a
yeah.
back and forth. I think he would be S tier if he was like one sided, but he's not one sided, so he ends up being in the A tier because he has a bit of a weird place into the meta.
Yeah, I mean when this guy's good, he's absolutely S tier. Right now, this guy's honestly B tier, but on average, I think he's a very high A tier. Uh,
The goat.
Shang 2 takes up one of your draws. That's really bad.
That's why he's
F
the
tier.
goat.
Shauna,
She
fun
still
fact,
summons spells.
she still summons spells.
For that, we gotta put her
So
in
we're
F
gonna put
tier.
her in F tier until second dinner fixes that. Don't make her summon spells. You literally made this in the OTA. uh this card would probably be D tier if it didn't summon spells, but because it does, it just has to be F tier.
Yes, he's really bad.
Our goat. We both have mastery on this guy.
Yes, we both have mastery. Where you putting
Silver
him, huh?
Surfer.
I know where I'm
What?
putting him, man. He's not going high at all.
He's going in the C tier.
This guy's an F tier card. This guy's terrible. I looked at Untapped, man, and this guy has a 48 win percentage in 80, pre-infinite 80s. And his win percentage goes down all the way until infinite top 10% because there's like 3 players that are really good playing him. But otherwise, this card is bad into low ranks. Like, this guy has been Powercraft and then Powercraft and then Powercraft again. He's like 3 stats below. I think he's actually D tier, but I'm putting him in F tier. I hate this guy right now.
I
can
think we
didn't
need
make
to
him
put-
+3 right now.
I think he's enough better than these guys that we're legally.
I'm not even sure if
forced to
he's
put him
better
in
than
D tier.
Groot.
Buff him. Make him a 3-4. Make him a 3-4. Yeah. We're definitely not putting +3 back.
No,
on
we're
this
putting
guy.
+3. Cerebro got it.
We're
Shao
not
got it.
putting plus-
We're getting it back on him. And I will push that until the end of the days.
Silver Surfer first steps.
Also make her +3 onto the Surfer. I think she's like reasonably like... When we talked about copiers, I think she's the worst copier. And I arguably want to put her in C, because I think she's noticeably even worse than Chameleon.
I think this is fair. We have the copier tier list. We have the best copier. We have the very good copiers. We have the mediocre copier, and then we have the copier. There's one other copier left that can copy.
Well, we
kind of
have the
things
worst
that can do it.
copy, which is Esme.
Oh yeah, Esme is the worst copier. I think we have one more card that can kind of copy some stuff that is going in probably high C tier, but we will see. Next up is Speed, who I think is C tier because he is too mid.
Because he's
to
too
be in B
fast.
tier.
Too fast for his own good.
He's
I don't know. Stat
He's
card
just too
that
mid.
back in the day, 3-9 was a really big stat line. Now we have Drax, who's a really big stat line and not a 3-9.
This guy should be a 3-4. I think at 3-4 you can argue this guy in the B tier. At 3-5 you can start arguing this guy in the A tier. But in general, C tier is kind of where he
I
belongs.
think
Or you know what would be funny? Make him +2. That would be a strong guard.
I
Three
think it
zero
would make a
plus
really Zenade a really sad. You'd be like, my star brand is not even the biggest guy anymore. This guy's
2.
mogging my star brand.
Spider Punk goes in B, I think.
B, yeah. I think as move gets better, he kind of like ebbs and flows. If traditional move is a bit higher, he goes a bit higher. I think he has like a genuinely unique interaction with Madame Web, which is a very strong thing to do. Like move it once, move it back, and then move it again. However, he is kind of just a stats mid-range card, and he doesn't really go that well into anything right now when he doesn't have an absolutely nuts combo card like Human Torch kind of propping him up.
I agree. Let's talk about Zenade's favorite card and why it's D tier. Sauron is absolutely power crept. This guy is enough to save the archetype. This guy in Red Skull's interaction with Cerebro is enough to save the archetype from the F tier. That being said, I would rather play the C tier cards than this card.
The thing is, he's even generic to 310 now, so like a objectively like a negative like 310 is really, really bad. I think if he were to be strong, it would be because 310 is like a unique stat line that kind of gets paired on top of something. I think potentially that could be with the I don't remember the actual name, and I don't want to call it the name I usually call it. The techno-organic virus.
Oh yes,
I think it might like push C tier. Like if it has some more unique interactions that says yes, this card's a 310, but we're gonna replace it not by removing it, but like adding extra value into it. I think it could be a strong thing, but like the play pattern of Sauron is just really bad right now because the removal's not enough. You need to add something extra onto it, like Nightmare, my goat. That's why the devs recommend Nightmare.
Storm is D tier. Why is she a 3-1? That's about all I can say.
Storm's F tier. Why is she a 3-1?
Because she has been seeing play with Ensabanor. It is not a good thing to do, but it is a thing you can do.
I guess.
You can legally do it. So that is D
I mean, if we're arguing that, I'm gonna say it. Nocturne is D tier.
You can do something with her.
Nocturne is D tier then, because you can play C4. And C4 is a more reasonable deck than...
Isn't Merlin just better in C4 now?
No, because he's only +1.
Okay, sure. We'll put Nocturne up here.
Yeah.
In the D tier because you can play her in C4.
Which is a reasonably better deck than anything starting with Insubonor.
Strong guy, F tier.
He is very strong, but not quite strong enough. Yeah.
Adaptoid, D tier. Activates are kind of good. It can steal the Maverick and then make the other card big.
Somehow not seen play, even though he can steal the Maverick, which says a lot of why he's in D tier. He's a bit too niche of a deck card. Like, he's very, 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 very specific.
Superior, I think by virtue of being a ramp card, goes next to Electro.
I think he's like reasonably as slightly worse than Electro, probably in the majority of cases, but I think he's like as solid as Electro. Like, just a solid pick, never terrible.
Yeah, you got to do something kind of messed up to get lower than A tier as a 3-cost ramp card.
The problem I would say with Superior is he has to stay on the board, and as we all know for ramp is we don't like keeping them on the board necessarily because of Blink, and Blink is such like a capstone card in any ramp deck that he does go a tier below because he has that natural anti-synergy.
I think Electro is closer to top of A and Superior is closer to bottom, but both of them definitely land in the A tier for me. Let's talk about Surtur and what he needs to become a playable card again.
He needs 10 power cards to become playable. Unsurprising. 10 power cards are some of the least played cards in the game, and some of the worst played cards in the game.
Yeah, this card needs more power in its support pieces. It doesn't need more power in itself because we've seen the problems that can cause. Coal Obsidian, 411. Typhoid Mary, 412. The Akari card is coming out. Those are the types of cards that this guy needs.
I'm gonna argue they don't even need a point. Like, I think one or two of them could go down a cost and still be fine. Like Typhoid Mary, -2, 310. Nobody else is playing that except for the people removing the ability, right? But like, it's reasonably better for Curve.
Swordmaster can go in nothing really.
He's D
This guy's
tier.
F tier.
I think
You
he's
think
D
he's
tier because
D?
he sometimes gets a home. Like he has a very particular niche, which is like these niche Hela decks that need to discard like these certain costs at certain times. I think he has something unique about him, which is basically the argument the D tier. There's something unique about this card, but it's not unique enough to be like actually strong. And I think he fits kind of perfectly into that little cubby hole.
Uh, Ancient One. I think this card is C tier.
I think it's one of the most underrated cards in the game. I think there's something you can do with it. Nobody has
Ozzy.
ever found it, so that sounds like a
Ozzy,
C card to
coming
me.
soon. Ozzy Ancient One. We're back in business, baby.
I think Ancient One, yeah, there's something unique about being able to play that 2 cost plus something that's super priority. I think Ozymandias is a reasonable ask, but it's never been proven that it's a strong thing. And because of the fact you have to prove you're a strong card to be a strong card, he goes down a tier.
Yeah, I definitely think that if Ozzy comes out, and this is really good with Ozzy, this can definitely be a B tier card. It's C tier right now. Let's talk about Terax, who
Speaking of Aussie
is
card, this guy gives you rocks.
yeah. I think this guy I think this guy is B tier by virtue of he is the only reason Darkhawk is playable, and he's one of the strongest turn 3 with prio plays in the game. I think that is enough that he barely makes the cut into B tier.
Terax is one
Because he
of the
can,
most goated designed cards in the game, but
I think
also
he's
one
really
of
good.
the
Yeah.
most terrible archetypes in the game. Like, I
He's
think
the
the
reason it's
only reason
playable.
I'd ever play Darkhawk is because of Terax, but I don't want to play Darkhawk.
I would put Darkhawk in the 5 cost list. If Darkhawk was on this tier list, I would probably put him in the C tier, and then I would put Korg in the D tier and Rockslide in the F tier. He is the best part of that archetype, and I think that is just enough
All I'm
to put
saying
him in the
is
D
if
tier.
Terax was paired with the Xiao Lao, he would be the Maverick. So that's how good of a card he is for his deck.
Mm-hmm.
But Darkhawk ain't no Xiao Lao.
Make this card playable. Thor, F tier. He sucks.
It's clogging your deck. Anything that adds stuff to your deck really needs to add like something strong to your deck, and that hammer ain't strong enough.
Venom is the other really good destroy card. I think he's just A tier.
Yeah, A tier. I think Venom's way better than Killmonger even in Destroy. There's something
He's
about
really good.
conserving your power into Destroy that is just very, very strong, especially because there's a lot of ways to kind of mess with that power where you get the power back, he conserves the power. So he's a weird doubler effect almost, but he is a very strong card into Destroy because of that.
I agree. Let us talk about Viper, who I think is probably B or C. What do you think?
I think he's closer to C. It's like Viper is a good card, but as Claw gets slowly, like literally all deleted from the game, like the Claw cards that remain get weaker and weaker and weaker. Right? If it got reworked, it could maybe go up a tier like the Bree has, or even go up 2 tiers. But the fact that Claw is slowly getting its pieces taken away drags it down. That's something you can see in this entire list. If the pieces are taken away or the pieces around it aren't very good, you have to acknowledge that like it can't really be doing anything interesting due to a lack of support, and it brings it down.
Vision.
What
are you thinking? D?
The problem with
Yeah.
Vision is you want to be doing something with her, but like that something is not good at doing what Vision does. So it's like I want to be playing like buff cards with her, right? But buff cards have 2 power. How the hell am I going to activate this Vision? There's like a conflict of interest there, and because of that conflict of interest, she is very hard pressed to find really good decks.
Warlock has a deck. D tier.
Yeah.
Not much else to say.
Not much to say about
Wave. A. Very arguably, I think you can argue that Wave is the top of A, which he's A tier. Foom is amazing.
Yeah, Foom's really good. The fact that you can do like Foom on turn 4 and then do some stuff after it, really good. I think the one thing that saves Wave especially is somehow we got it to be really easy to get 8 energy onto turn 6. And with 8 energy onto turn 6 as a breakpoint for wave, the easier that gets, the better wave gets.
He's very good. White Queen, F tier. Make her a 2-cost.
One
2,
of
3.
the most famous Marvel characters somehow does not have any good interactions with anything. I think you don't even make her 2-cost. I think she has to have like an incentive there, right? Like maybe a -1, -2 cost, like just a little bit of incentive to say, okay, I'm going to generate something that is objectively high cost. Like she has to, like in the majority of decks, it's like a 6 cost, a 5 cost, right? Just like tick it down a bit, and it's like, okay, now I can justify her. Maybe in a mirror match, to get some interesting interactions. Even at 2 costs, I think she's objectively bad because like you're generating something that half the time's unplayable because it costs too much.
Wolfsbane, F tier. It's just Worst Sage, which is already a C tier card. Werewolf, S probably, just because he's kind of like a
Is
315.
he S? I think he's A right
Yeah,
now.
I think he kind of is just better
I
than all
don't
the
know.
A
I
tier
I
cards.
think he's A. Like, how many werewolf
You can
decks
argue
have I
because
seen
Hyperstomper.
ever? Like in the past month and a half, and my answer is like not a lot. Somehow Shao Lao made the environment work for him when he was supposed to be the best synergy piece for him.
I think you can argue A or S here. I think it's the same as Hydra Stomper, that this guy just kind of got destroyed by Shao. I'll leave him in the A tier, but I'm not mad if you have him in your S tier. Let's talk about the zombies. Zombie Sentry is F tier. So, Zombie Scarlet Witch absolutely folds to Gambit. I think it's just honestly still B with the quality of the cards in B. I think it's about on that level. It folds to Gambit, but if you aren't playing Gambit, it's still a reasonably good archetype.
Yeah, it's tough. It's like he dies. The entire zombie like little ecosystem is so bad into Gambit. Like they can't be at the top of basically like the top 3 tiers, but like C tier is so bad in relation to like what B tier is that I think she might be the single worst or the second single worst, like bottom 2 in B tier. But I think she's just solid enough, and she has like just enough stats inherently printed onto her that she is good enough at 3-4, which she released at 3-2. Which let's not talk about that.
Yeah, let's not talk about that. And ladies and gentlemen, that is the tier list right there. So our S tier, obviously not in order, is Brood, Captain Carter, Cerebro, Cosmo, Gambit Horseman of Death, Jocasta, Luna Snow, Maverick, and Prodigy. And we have a pretty long F tier, so I'm not going to read all those names off. Yeah, that's the 3-cost tier list. Hart, where can people find you?
You can find me on youtube.com at Heart of the Cards. I make content. Whatever I feel like content lately, it's been deck videos because I'm busy. When I'm not busy, I probably will be making a bit higher effort content like the tournament video that I just released.
Yeah, best quality Snap content on YouTube. You should go check that out. He's the only Snap YouTuber I know that heavily edits his videos. That is going to be it for us here. Thank you, Hart, for coming on. Any last words to say on these 3 costs?
All I'm saying is, if you look at the S tier, they're making the Maverick big. So if you're looking at new cards, if they're making the Maverick big, they might just be an S tier card.